part of this community of FOASPS, and I've been working for the past 3 years on reinforcing the capacity of the private sector with the team. Sorry, let me go back. And today we're talking about a very important challenge, a very important topic that is a challenge for most of our associations is related to governance. And some of the key challenges that we usually see with associations is related to balancing, for example, the diversity of stakeholders from the board of the association, making sure that you're well representing the sector, making sure that you're also in compliance with donors' requirements, or you're aligned with ethical aspect from the sector, having in mind that health sector is so sensitive too. So there are so many challenges that we want to make sure that we tackle today together, whether or not you've just creating your association, you plan to create your association, or you've already created that, but you want to make sure that you align with, I would say, the general best practices when it comes to association governance. So it will be my pleasure to walk you through that today with the team. This being said, our objective for that second module of our webinar is that by the end of that webinar, you should be able to get a better understanding of the bodies that are required for the proper management of your association and their respective powers, the governing bodies of the association and their role of guidance and control, and finally, the ethic charter that we'll see together by the end of this webinar and its place, I would say its crucial place in the credibility of your association. As we go through, do not hesitate to share your thought on the chat, to also share ideas or challenges that you might face with the other participants. The way we structure our approach with this webinar is around three main chapters. The first one is talking about the organs of the associations and their different powers. Secondly, we'll see together the governing bodies of the association.
Your internet connection is bugging. Your internet connection is bugging. I don't know if you can do anything about it. So yeah, so your voice is fluctuating.
Oh, okay.
Or is it on my side? Maybe it is on my side. Then let me check. Okay,
can
please
anybody
continue.
else confirm? Can you hear me? Can anybody else confirm if there's a problem with my voice?
No, I'm okay with you. There's no fluctuation, so maybe Mr. Kofi will have to check his side.
Okay, so it is on my side.
Okay, I will just go ahead, but it's not hesitate to let me know if there is a problem.
Sorry.
Okay. And we'll finally talk about the association's ethics and credibility chapter that we'll see at the end, as I was just referring to. So first of all, we want to talk about the organs of the association and their power. So it's just a quick reminder that we have different type of approach when it comes to association from the Francophone side and from the Anglophone side, but pretty much we're speaking the same language, I would say. From this French-speaking culture, the rules are different. They are coming from the Latin law, and from the English-speaking culture, they are coming from the common law. When it comes to Francophones, it is actually the Association Law 1901 that is managed by the ministry in charge of territorial administration. And when it comes to English, it is a non-for-profit organization that is managed by the General Registration Department. And board of directors were not the responsibility of associations under the Francophone culture, but today we see this more and more. And when it comes to English speaker, the organ like the board of trustees does not exist from the French speakers, but it exists from the English speaker side. So I mean, we'll talk about that over the webinar, but just to make this clear on those differences that we have from the French-speaking and the English-speaking side. So the first organ that we want to see together is the General Assembly. The General Assembly is the main decision-making body of the association. It has ordinaries and extraordinary session, and it also has exclusive prerogatives. The first one being the election of the other bodies, including the board, the executive board, the administrative secretariat, the auditors, the statutory auditors. It also has exclusive prerogatives on the real estate assets management, in particular, of the association. Also the ratification of partnerships and membership with other organizations, and the amendment of the statute of the internal regulation of the association, and also their dissolution, of course. Finally, the General Assembly mandates the board or the executive board, depending on the type of association, the type of structure that the association has opted for, and the board or the executive board report to the General Assembly and manages the association between two General Assembly meetings. Moving on now to the other organ from the association, we have the Board of Directors. So the Board of Directors is the body that actually implements the association's vision. It also implements the decision of the General Assembly meeting and replaces it between two meetings. And of course, it reports back to it. The Board of Directors is also responsible for recruiting the staff and monitors their action. It processes membership requests in and out and negotiates partnerships with organizations and sharing it back to the General Assembly, of course, for signature. And it initiates advocacy and resource mobilization action. So the Board of Directors is sort of playing the middleman role for making sure that from the General Assembly perspective, the vision is well understood or translated into the operational level. The executive office next to it is it is a particular organ because in some statutes we do not have the executive board and the board, but one or the two, depending on the type of structure of the association. So in the absence of the board, it is the executive board that plays the same role as the board, depending on what you have in your association. But if both organs exist, the board then elects a small number of members to constitute the executive board. And sometimes the board can also be an executive board that is extended to other managers of affiliated structures. The board then becomes a body whose powers are below the AGM and above the executive board. I hope that makes sense. But I think Samuel will manage the questions that we might have that will be posted on the chat. And finally, the executive office, having both bodies can be justified by the nature of the association. For example, we have FOASPS and the country federations that sort of constitute, with FOASPS, we have the board, and we have the country federations that constitute also the General Assembly that we just mentioned. And we have a different we might have some other different articulations or structures with your different association. I don't know if we have all participants from our country federations or from external associations. So now we want to dig deeper into a more operational level from the association. talking about technical commissions that you might already have, or maybe you might want to consider to have. Samir, should I go ahead, or do you want to? Do not hesitate to stop me if there are some questions in the chat, or if there's anything you want to share with the audience. Is that okay? Can I go ahead?
Yeah, you can go ahead. I think by when you're ending, then we will now pose the question. If they have, to put it in the chat box. So you can go ahead.
Okay. So we have technical commissions that are very important for the association, and they are very, very useful when the operation of the associations require ongoing reflection to inform the choices of the executive board or the board. And we also have permanent technical commissions that may have been created by the statutes of the association. They can be thematic or functional. A couple of examples for thematic technical commissions can be a commission on AI, for example. Today we're talking about artificial intelligence a lot, so we can have a commission on that, a commission on AI and ethics, for example. We can have a commission on, I don't know, water resource management, depending on the mission of your association. We can also have functional technical commissions related to membership engagement, related to diversity, equity, and inclusion from the association perspective. We can have a special technical commission that is functional, related to also communication, for example, or resource mobilization. They work under the responsibility of the board or the executive board, with the means made available to them by the association's budget. And they report directly back to the board or the executive board, which implements these recommendations or bring them back to the decision of the General Assembly. And there are good ways to maintain members' participation in the association's activities. So it is very important that you make those technical commissions very active and really engaging with your members, and focus on, of course, the mission of the association, but also on what your members are looking for, the interests of your members, for them to be engaged and to work at this operational level toward the end mission or end goal of your association. Next to it, you have ad hoc committees. So ad hoc committees are temporaries. They become necessary in relation to specific needs, and they are being created by the decision of the AGM or the board and the executive board. They are provided with TOR, terms of references, or mission letters specific to them that are coming from the board or the executive board. And they can call on external expertise as necessary, depending on their mission. And of course, as I said, they are temporary, so they disappear once they finish their mission. And after, of course, submitting their reports, having in mind that they have to report back to the board or the executive board. An example of ad hoc committee, since they are temporary, could be organizing an annual conference for your association, or organizing an event related to policy and advocacy task force, for example. Could be also a crisis response commission, depending on the situation, depending on what is the current need, having in mind that this is temporary, and they can get some external help from specific experts from the field. If you have not considered it yet, or you're already on the way to do that, we strongly encourage you to keep on doing it, because regional branches for the association is something that is key also when it comes to the organ of the association. They are provided for and by the statutes according to the nature of the association. This is undoubtedly the case for FOASPS with our country federations that are spread all over West Africa. and their operation must be guided by the statutes and or the internal regulation for the purpose of harmonizing procedures from one region to the other. So making sure that we are all on the same page and we are all working towards the mission, the ultimate goal of our association. This is the case where actually the executive board is extended, for example, to the president of regional branches, and they can together constitute the board, which is even better and more, effective. The administrative secretariat is really the arm of the General Assembly and the board. It is the body that brings together paid staff, so that's where you have permanent staff, and it is the support team of the board or the executive board, but also the basic project management unit of any project that can be carried out by the association. So that's really where you have the operational day-to-day activities that actually help your association or the federation to stay alive, I can say like that. So for FOASPS, you have the amazing team that I'm part of, and for your different associations, or if you're not created your association yet, you will have to think about having an administrative secretariat team. That is very important. It may happen that it's not registered in the statute as a formal body, and in this case, its existence and operation must be sealed in a decision of the executive board or of the board. And at this level, it's very important that when you select your permanent staff or your salary staff, you make sure that these are people that will be fully engaged and committed to the association, because that's where you have the heart or the core activity that maintain the association alive. So those people should be people that are available for full-time work and that are working on the daily basis for your association. You also have the auditors, can be internal or external. Depending on the size of the association, you can have an internal auditor. But anyhow, an external audit that is professional is normally recruited for this mission. Sometimes it is sometimes called statutory auditor, and it is responsible for monitoring the management of the association's resources in accordance with international norms and standards. That is very important. And the report of this auditor, internal or external, is submitted to the AGM, which mandates him and renews also his mandate. And some statutes, depending on the type of association, limit the number of terms of the auditor. But anyhow, submitting the report, the auditor report to the AGM on a regular basis is something that donors are really, really looking at, and even partners, other partners are looking at. So it's very important to make sure that you align with the international standards, that you rely on a professional when it comes to the auditors and auditing in general, and the auditor for submitting the report to the General Assembly. Should I proceed, Samuel, or is there any reaction or question from the chat?
No, please, you can proceed.
Okay. So now we move to concerning the governing bodies of the association. So first of all, it is a set of organizational mechanisms that aimed at controlling the powers of managers and influencing their decision-making processes. The governance of an association makes it possible to define the cases of discretionary powers and the cases of obligation to resort to another body. And in general, the question of governance concerns the board, the executive board or the board, and especially the president. We'll talk about that together in the next slide. The relations with the General Assembly, the General Assembly takes precedence over all the body, even the president. That's something that's very important to set first. And the president only has the power just to refuse to comply with, that's his right, but he cannot change the decision of the AGM. So the AGM is really the main body having, I would say, the power and precedence over all the other bodies. The AGM has the exclusive prerogative to give a discharge to the board or the executive board. And the administrative secretary from the permanent secretariat is the one responsible for helping the two bodies function in harmony and mutual respect. So again, be very careful when you are selecting your permanent secretary. This is I want to say a burning place, because you want to make sure that you have the right person there, the person who is a very diplomatic person, a person who is capable of, balancing between the two bodies and making sure to translate what is happening from one end to the other end, while making sure that everything is going smoothly, and also translate that to the permanent team and making sure that at the operational level, everything is going the right way and in alignment with what the AGM has seen as the vision. And a good example is the permanent secretary that we have, the administrative secretary that we have in FOASPS, who really very well managed that burning position, I would say. So within the executive office or the board, the president is the one having the final word. But the president must seek consensus with the other members from the board. That's also something that is very important. It's a collaborative work. It's, just a word mentioned that it's an association. So we are together making the decision together. Even if the president has the final word, he still need to seek from others consensus. And he must never, ever appear before the General Assembly members with files or document that has been ignored by its colleagues. So he really wants to make sure to balance between the fact that he's the one having the final word, he's the one in charge, but he also needs to make sure that is as inclusive and collaborative as possible. And in return, the members of the executive board or the board are bound by the duty of reserves and cohesion in action. Finally, the administrative secretary, again, here is also responsible for helping the members of the board or the executive board to function in harmony and with mutual respect. When it comes to the other organs, you have the board, the executive board or the board and its president. They have precedence over all the bodies, of course, except the AGM, as I just mentioned. These bodies work with the president or with other members from the board or the executive board, and they are appointed by the different texts of the president in relation, or sorry, they are appointed by the text or the president in relation to the theme of their mandate, depending on what they have been appointed for. And the administrative secretary, again, is coming here again to making sure that all these organs function in harmony and mutual respect with the board and the executive board. So again, I insist on that. It is very important that you make sure to select the right person as the administrative secretary. And not only the administrative secretary, but also people from the permanent secretariat. That should be a team that he can easily manage and control, if I can say like that, and having in mind that it can also balance with the AGM and the board so that things can go smoothly. So with regard to the administrative secretariat, The administrative secretariat serves as the organization and therefore all its body. The administrative secretary, who does his job well, is already quite powerful by virtue of his prerogative and must have a sense of, I would say, balance, as I was referring to previously. And in the day-to-day operations, the administrative secretary refers to the president and seeks for his advice or her advice, and is also seeking for advice from all the other members from the board and the executive boards without falling into the trap of denunciation or discord. So it has to be someone, again, who is very diplomatic, who's really keen into and really has also some leadership skills and some negotiation skills when it needs to, but really has those balance, I would say, skills to make sure that everything is going the right way. So now that we've been talking about the different organs of the association and their relation together, and their different power and how important is, for example, the permanent secretariat and the administrative secretary, we want to tackle something that is also very important for associations when it comes to ethics, when it comes to the credibility of your association, when it comes to even the future interactions that you will have with donors, to be in compliance with them or your partners, to make sure that you've thought about all those best and worst case scenarios that can happen and that needs to be tackled the right way from your associations. So when it comes to ethics, ethics is basically the definition of what is right or what is wrong. From the individual perspective, it's basically what we learn from our parents, from our society, from, even from experience, and we build our opinion on, we are convinced that, for example, gender, all type of gender should be included in everything that we do, or we are convinced that, for example, from our sector, since we're working on the health sector, at some level, we do not accept artificial intelligence, for example. I mean, those sensitive or not sensitive topic that we want to make sure that we have an opinion or a common and collaborative opinion on, and that we put on paper together. So, so that's when we talk about an ethics charter that I was mentioning from the beginning, and it is actually a document when you put on paper your values, your core beliefs as an association, and the policies and your even your corporate culture, what you want to implement inside your association in terms of value, in terms of what you want to be driven by and what you want to share to the external world and to your partners. The ethics charter is a tool for strengthening the goodwill also of the different stakeholders from the association. Its content and effective implementation give also credibility to your association and your leaders. And it must be the result of a broad consensus. Of course, this is something that we collaboratively decide on, as I was referring to from the beginning. This is basically the definition of what we define together as being right or wrong, depending on the topic. And it must be as widely as possible disseminated with all the partners and all starting from inside all the permanent staff. It must be the subject of periodic discussions and aimed at harmonizing, making sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to understanding what is right or wrong from the association. I don't know, women inclusion, so I was just referring to technology, for example, and by all the members in order to ensure adherence and implementation by each and everyone. So here we're sharing an example of the content or the possible content that you can have for your ethics charter. It could be start with the purposes. What is the purpose? What are the purposes of this ethics charter? And who are the people that are could be interested by, or people that must know about that or be in charge of it. And secondly, you have the scope of application or the area of application of it, and its actual implementation. So starting with the responsibilities, the guiding principles of the association, the rules of conduct that are based on the guiding principles, the ethical principles of the associations in terms of integrity, honesty, transparency, the regulation, and also the internal rules for all the members. Some other points for as a content of an ethics charter can be that related to direct or indirect conflict of interest with the interests of the members. The approach to information processing as well, how we want to organize internal information system, how we proceed when it comes to, I don't know, confidentiality, for example. Use and protection of the association's assets as well. How is it managed from the inside? Equal opportunities and non-discrimination is something that is also important. Remember from the beginning, I've mentioned that ethics is the way we define what is right or wrong. So depending on, what we decide together, I don't know, with gender, with women inclusion, you name it. Lack of sanctions also against whistleblowers. It's very important to make sure that you are an association that promotes, I would say whistleblowing, but promotes the fact that people are equal and everybody is free, should be free to speak their mind, should be free to I would say denunciate if there is something that is wrong. And you should make sure that you create a system. Actually, you have a suggestion here, an alert collection system. You create a place or a platform or a system where it is easy for the whistleblower to denunciate anything that they might see, and they know that they can speak up their mind and being protected and even being encouraged to do so anonymously, of course. And also compliance with the association's ethical charter could be a part of the content of this charter. Finally, you have the recordings, you have internal control, also how you organize it, how you want to keep that, you want to file everything that is related to ethics inside your association or your federation. This is something that you want to put on paper. And if you have not done it yet, you want to start doing it now, or as you create your association, you want to also consider that and think about that. So to wrap up, we would just say that just as in the public arena, the issue of governance is something that is very sensitive. From the beginning, I was sharing a couple of challenges that associations might face. Maybe it is your case. Feel free to share it in the chat. And to interact also with other participants. But it's something that is very sensitive and important to tackle, to talk about, and to think about from now. It deserves the full attention of the leaders. And I want to say even from the leaders of the association up to the operational level of the association, something that everybody should be concerned about. And the salary staff are highly expected on this issue as advisor to the statutory managers of the association. So we recommend that you maintain a constant contact with your fellow donors partners to obtain their guidance as necessary when you are in doubt. But this is something that should be tackled as soon as possible, as regular as possible, because this is something that send a good signal or the right signal to the different stakeholders, the different partners, the donors, international donors, the financial partners. This is something that really makes a difference, something that we really strongly encourage you to do. And as FOASPS, we always there to support our federation's members, and we strongly encourage you to work on that on a regular basis. So this is what I wanted to say today for this webinar. I wanted to hand over back to Samuel. I don't know if we have questions on the chat. We encourage you to interact with each other and to reach back to us. If you have further questions, we'll be more than happy to follow up with you. Thank you. Over to you, Samuel.
All right. Thank you, Madam Nadi, for the enlightenment and the training process. Thank you very much. Colleagues and fellow attendants, please, if you have any question, you can put it in the chat box. And also, if you feel you can express it by talking, you can raise up your hand, then I'll let you speak. So for now, it's time for questions. So everyone who have a question can kindly put it in the chat box or raise up his hand so that we can call the person to do so. Thank you. So be waiting for questions, any suggestions, any contributions. This is the right time now to do this. So. Okay, one. We have a Momolu. Please, you can ask your question. You can unmute and ask your question.
Good morning, and Samuel, good morning, and thank you to Nadi for the explicit presentation. Mine is not a question, it's just a concern. The last time, I think it was stated that at the end of every presentation, where the slides will be sent to our individual emails. But since then, we have not received any of them. And last week and this week are very important presentations. We are hoping that we receive them so that we go through them by ourselves when we are alone in our bureau offices. Thank you.
Thank you very much for raising awareness. We'll be attending to that. And please, this reminds me, please take note of the emails you attaching to the records you are posting in the chat, the emails. So, Mr. Kofi, you can mute and talk.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Samuel, and thank you, President Momolu. I think that Francis should help us to respond to this question that the President raised. The issue of sharing the PowerPoint presentations as well as sharing the recording of our sessions. I think that there is a misunderstanding there. So maybe Francis should respond to us. What is the process that we finally agree to process the sharing? Can Francis help us?
Yeah, Francis is in the room, so yeah, Francis, you can speak so that you.
Yes, thank you. We agreed to share the videos. We don't yet talk about the PowerPoint presentation, but it will be helpful to share also the PowerPoint presentation after each session. But the videos, we were saying last session that they are still on montage, on, let me say, graphic arrangement in order them to be ready to be posted. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We have Mr. Kofi, is still your hand up or?
Yes. I raised my hand again. My question is, even, I mean, is there a need to do another, I don't know how to call it in English, a montage? Do we need to record or to manage the recording before sharing it? As we usually start the recording at the beginning of the session and we stop it at the end of the session. If we don't say anything that is controversial during the session, if we don't have any challenge during the session, I would strongly suggest that as soon as we finish and the recording is available, we should post it on the website and share the link with participants. We don't have time to be remounting the video. This is my personal opinion on that.
Okay. I saw a hand. The hand is off again. Okay, now it's rather
Yeah, I'm
reaction.
going to bring it down. Don't worry.
Or not you, but I saw a hand, but I don't know whether the person dropped the hand again. Okay, please, this question time. So, any suggestions, any comments you feel like having? We have let's say Thomas. Please, you can unmute. You can unmute and talk now.
Sorry, apologies. I had posted on the WhatsApp that I had a clash in training with our Ministry of Health and World Bank on PPP this morning, and that clashed pretty much with this training. So I would really appreciate if, as Mr. Kofi just suggested, maybe the video or audio is translated, just so I can also hear the questions and discussions. I think that would be a brilliant idea if you post it immediately. You don't need to edit anything.
All right.
Greetings,
Well
Dr.
noted.
Adise.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Sorry,
good.
everyone coming in so late.
Madam, okay, the hand is off now. Please, this time for questions. Anyone with questions? We have a colleague who is asking, is there a WhatsApp group? I want to ask whether you are referring to whether it's a WhatsApp group for the training session or a WhatsApp group for the federations. I want to be clear on that. Okay, with the training sessions, we didn't create any WhatsApp group as we speak, and I think Francis will be in the best position to tell us whether there'll be any WhatsApp group going forward. So Francis, if you can attend to whether we'll be creating any WhatsApp group going forward from now.
There's no particular WhatsApp group for the training session, but it's just up to all of us if we want to create it.
Okay, all right. I think that will be discussed and see whether we'll do that. All right, thank you. Please, colleagues, it's still time for questions. So if you have questions, comments, you can put it or you raise your hand and I'll give you a call so that you ask a question.
As people are asking questions, I just wanted to emphasize again on the fact that this is very important. And I would say that this is even the core of the journey towards sustainability project that FOASPS team have been working on over the last 3 years. It is so very important that associations are strong, especially when it comes to governance, so that the private sector can be reinforced and we can improve our credibility and get access to better, larger opportunities together. So personally, and I'm pretty sure that this is something that is shared with the team, I think we strongly encourage you to come back to this presentation and to come back to us if you need any support, and of course if you are part of our country federations member. Thank you.
Praise, do we have any more questions? And please, those who join later, don't forget to put your details in the chat column.
So Samuel, I don't think we have more questions, no?
Yes, looking at it. Okay, Nade, you can give us your closing remarks so that we bring the session to an end.
Sorry?
You can give us your closing remarks so that we bring the session to an end. Your
Okay.
closing words, yeah.
Okay, thank you. No, it's just what I just said. I want to say again, that is very important. And I encourage you, if you've already created your association, or if you're thinking about creating an association, especially when it comes to ethics, when it comes to knowing the different bodies, knowing their powers, knowing the difference between them, having in mind the big importance of the General Assembly, knowing that the president has the final word, but it also needs to be as inclusive and collaborative as possible. Making the right choice of the right person as a permanent secretary. Those are the points that are very, very important for an association. And they might sound as detailed on the field, but they really make the difference as you're looking for potential partners, or as you're looking for compliance with international donors. So I would say thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment on this. You really made the right choice by choosing this day that is a special day, I think, in most of the Francophone countries today. But you took your time to come with us, and we strongly encourage you to keep on doing that. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Thank you. I think Monsieur Kofi has raised his
Mr.
hand.
Kofi have raised the hand. Mr. Kofi, you can talk. You can unmute and talk.
No, sorry, I did not click on the right icon. These are the old men who want to play the the youngest. So I was just going to say thank you, and I click on raise hand. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
So let me show what I wanted to show now. Okay, have a great day.
Okay, everyone, thank you. We bring the session to a close now. Thank you for everyone for attending. Thank you. Nandi.
Yes, I was wondering, should I stop the recording from my end?
Yeah, you can stop it now.